Hi, my name's Christina. I am your new neurospicy friend. And today we're going to talk about intermediate level masking. We made a couple of videos that went over some of the basic concepts of putting together a functionable daily mask. Today's video, we're going to get a little bit deeper into some of the concepts, give some more helpful tips and tricks, and then we're going to talk about incorporating our ideal self into the mask and how that plays into manifestation and building your best life. So let's rock and roll. Let's assume that an intermediate mask, the goal is to be likable, right? Let's assume that this mask is a people pleaser. Assuming that likability is kind of like camouflage, right? When people like you, they overlook quirks and little weird habits and whatever, right? Stems. If they don't like you, they notice everything. They notice things that don't even exist, things that you didn't even say. You're like a projection board when they don't like you. Being likable is like camouflage. So let's assume that we want the person to be likable. We're going to assume at this level of masking, you have a basic understanding of code switching. Code switching is changing how you speak based on who you're talking to. How you talk to your parents is different than how you talk to your siblings. How you talk to your friends is different than how you talk to your boss. Code switching. Let's add a layer on top of code switching. Throwing strays. Be conscious and careful not to be throwing strays. Especially as a neurospicy person, this can be interpreted in ways that you have no control over. I promise you. Here's an example. Person A, person B. Let's say you're talking to person A about subjects X, Y, and Z, right? Person B is a little bit sensitive to subject X, right? But you're talking to person A about X, Y, and Z. Okay. Let's say person B takes a little offense. They're kind of giving their feelings hurt that we're talking about X, right? That would be them catching a stray. Also note, it's entirely possible for person A to catch a stray. Just for one person, if they're sensitive to any X, Y, or Z, something to be mindful of. I'm not trying to offend them. I'm talking about this with this person. However, I'm doing it in the presence of this person. And accidentally, I cause them offense. They would have caught a stray, right? Be conscious to avoid doing this. Multiple reasons. One, we want to be likable, obviously. Two, the person who took offense might interpret it in a different way. Like they might think that you're doing it on purpose. You might not be paying attention, but they could think it's a dog whistle. Here's a tip from the advanced version. A dog whistle is an insult that's meant for a very specific person, and it's very pinpointed to only something that person would know. And that's why it's called a dog whistle, is because only that person can hear the offense. To everybody else, it'll sound perfectly innocent, right? That way, if that person tries to talk to somebody else about it, in like, this hurt my feelings, this was rude, they will turn around and say, oh, that wasn't a big deal. Oh, they didn't mean that. You're just being sensitive. But really, the offense was meant for that one person. As a neurospicy person, you may be a projection board. So even though you're not paying attention and you're just conversating, be conscious of what you're talking about. Be conscious of who's around you and understand that people can and will interpret you in ways that you don't intend for. I'm sorry, it sucks. And that doesn't just mean be helpful. Provide help, obviously, when somebody comes and asks, when somebody brings you a problem, no matter how small or no matter how stupid. Okay? It also means making them feel good for bringing you the problem or whatever it is, no matter how stupid or small, right? This can be something that a lot of spicies can accidentally do. So accidentally make the person feel stupid, make the person feel judged or like they're burdening us with their request. No, be conscious to not do that. Express gratitude to the person, that be grateful that they brought you this problem. And actually, here's a little mind trick, especially when they bring you something stupid. Something that's just a fucking waste of your time. And deep breaths. What you can do is, if you're wanting to be a person who is dependable and the person that people bring things to, you could not be that person if there was nobody to bring things to you. The person bringing you this, no matter what it is, allows you to be the dependable person, allows you to be the person that helps them. So even if it's stupid, thank you. I'm grateful you felt comfortable to come share this with me. Let's see what we can do. And then provide help. Make them feel good for bringing you what they have brought you. It's humility to come bring somebody a problem, right? If it's stupid, they really need help with it. They're not trying to be an asshole. They really need help. They're coming to you for help. There is a humility there. So if you want to be the person that people come to for help, make them feel good and be helpful. But we do our best. We can do our best. This brings us around to something called the question sandwich. And no, I don't mean go make me a sandwich, even though yes, absolutely, go make me a sandwich. I'm sorry, I've always wanted to do that. Okay, anyways, so the question sandwich is basically where you ask them a question, you respond to their answer with a personal detail or a tidbit, and then you ask a follow-up question. Example, how was your weekend? Oh, that was fun. I've never been there. I hear it's like this other place. What do you think? Have you been there? Upgrade if you remember something that they already told you and you can bring it in. Hey, I remember you were reading the book Dune. How is it? How far along are you in the story? If you need to, you can even pivot the conversation. Ways to pivot the conversation is to pick out like a detail about what you're talking about and then go in that direction, so to speak, right? Let's say we're talking about Dune and I haven't read the book Dune. Dune is a really popular book. Yeah, a lot of people find a lot of deep meaning and character value in it, I think. I haven't read it, so I don't know. Is Dune in your normal genres? Are you normally a science fiction? Do you like history? What kinds of things do you normally read? Notice how I shifted it off of Dune to genres of books, a way I can pivot the conversation. Basically, try asking open-ended questions. Let them talk about themselves and what they're interested in, right? Don't let them be the only one talking about themselves. You have to, insert yourself and, be part of the engagement. But generally, when people talk about themselves and they can share and connect, they feel good. Most of the time, what gets us clocked is our reactions. When we get caught or someone notices something's off, it's usually because we're not reacting right or to the right thing in the conversation. Deep breaths. The best way I found to maximize the chances of having the best set of responses, right? When you're talking to the person, empathize with their experience. And what I mean by that is hear what they're saying through their ears, if that makes sense, right? You're hearing the story and you're interpreting what this is, how you would be in the situation, blah, blah, blah. Respond as if you are feeling how they would feel in the situation. That way you're producing something that they'll identify with. And low-key, you might actually identify with them. We really do have so much more in common than we know. Last thing, we're going to talk about incorporating the ideal self into the mask. Now, how this plays into manifestation, because manifestation is not all woo. No, it's not just woo-woo, but manifestation does require inspired action. Now, what inspired action is movement in the real world. You have to do the things that the person would do. Do the things that the person you're Manifestation requires inspired action. You need to do the things that the person, your ideal self, would be doing. And once you start doing those things as if you are already here, your life will start to come together and put you in this location. That way, when you're incorporating the characteristics of your ideal self into your mask, you're already beginning to practice those things. You're doing those things and you're already putting that into the world, building your best life. So, let's dive in a little bit of how to do that. How are we going to incorporate our best self? Depends on what we're looking at. Let's say you want to be a person who's wealthy, right? Start to pay attention to money. Read money journals. Grab a Forbes magazine. Talk to other people who are interested in finance. Start looking at the markets. Learn and understand what types of accounts are available for different pricing brackets and see where you can start to build. Talk to other people and start to build a community around that. Switching gears, let's say you want to be a person who's more punctual. You want to be on time. Like a lot of us struggle with that. Here's a tip for being on time or being early. Set yourself a regular routine to be 30 minutes early to a location. Now, you don't have to go into the location. For those of us with social anxiety, plan to be at the location 30 minutes ahead of time, and then use the time to sit in your car. Sit in your car and catch up on social media. Sit in your car and catch up on the news. Provide some little reward in this routine that incentivizes you to be there that half hour early. And then just sit in your car and reward yourself. Like relax, get your mind right before you're going in. Don't interpret that. I know you're gonna interpret that, but whatever. But get yourself right before you're going in. Let's say you wanna be a person who's dependable. Do you wanna be the person that everybody comes to for help? Well, do the things that that person would do. If you wanna be a person who just knows a little bit about everything, you know, some people can just, if you want to be a person who just knows a little bit about everything, you know, some people can talk about almost anything, right? They can talk to almost anybody. Learn a little bit about everything. And that's wild, that's overwhelming. Here's what we do. Make a list. What does everything look like? Just subjects, right? Domestic news, foreign news, entertainment, music, new movie releases, like whatever the things are that you want to know about, sports team, football season, whatever. Pick one thing at a time and just learn about that thing. Connect with others, talk to others about that one thing, and that'll actually give you things for your conversations. And find people who like that thing, and that'll help you grow your network, and you can talk to people who like that thing and actually can learn, right? Then pick up the next thing and start to learn a little bit about it. Do these things one at a time. Learn a little bit more, start to talk about it. You can always go back up and review, and you often will, review things up at higher levels just to keep current with them. But doing it one thing at a time makes it not overwhelming. Because, trust me, if you try to tackle and learn everything at once, you will crash and burn. And I know, as an ADHD motherfucker myself, I know we can do it. Eventually. Yes, we can, but this is how. And it's a big, wild idea, and it's exciting, and of course we can, in the mind and in the heart, of course we can. But the practicality is, we need to do it one at a time. Otherwise, it's gonna explode and crash out. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. I'll be going over more advanced techniques in videos on the Patreon. I just started a Patreon. Go check it out, peasy poo. Also, please like this video, share this video, subscribe, follow, hit all the buttons for your new neurospicy friend. And I will see you in the next video. I'm so grateful you stuck it out. Mwah. Bye!